we're going to see the Zoo from Thijs. And he gets a pretty good start with the Flame Imp, gets some 2-drops as well. So, but an early unstable goes... that's actually pretty good for this. It's going to trade with the Flame Imp pretty well. That's going to stop that in his tracks. And then possibly just see a Haunted Creeper here, or maybe a Knife Juggler. There is a second Flame Imp potentially as well. So he could go Knife Juggler, Flame Imp.
Yeah. Both plays are actually pretty strong against Fire War Axe. Haunted Creeper, of course, is resilient to Fire War Axe anyway. And Knife Juggler, if he plays Fire War Axe this turn, he's basically saying that, well, no matter what, I'm taking 6 damage over the next 2 turns, possibly even more. Frothing Berserker, though, if there's no buffs here, it does trade 2 for 1, which is actually pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. There's nothing that Thijs can do unless he taps into an Abusive Sergeant.
I don't think he even needs to tap, but he can.
Over the juggle.
There
you go.
Yeah.
Got the 50-50.
Yeah, juggles could have been bad there. And he does have a couple ways to activate this egg as well. Forsen could end up being in a lot of trouble. He didn't have the Fire War Axe early on. Now he's forced to... He's really on the ropes. It's... You can actually play Dread Corsair here if you wanted to as well.
Yeah, you can play the Death Spike and then play the Dread Corsair, which is... That's a pretty strong play.
Yeah.
This Dread Corsair... I actually really like Dread Corsair, and maybe because early on in Hearthstone, when I first got into Hearthstone, I found a little bit of very, very minor Hearthstone YouTube fame for playing a pirate deck. I think I was one of the first people to do it. So if you YouTube search Hearthstone Pirates, I think my video is like 4th down. It's got like 20,000 views or something. So I'm always very partial to the pirates.
Half those videos are adult films, so be careful.
What, my videos or the videos you find when you search?
No, the videos you find when you search.
Opts to save the Dread Corsair, which is interesting. I guess he thinks it can protect a Warsong Commander, protect Grim Patron, protect a Frothing Berserker. It's pretty useful, pretty flexible, particularly when you have a weapon up.
I think he just doesn't want to... He doesn't want to give this egg anything to hit up against, I suppose. There's so many activators that don't require that, though. You get Power Overwhelming, Void Terror as well. You can actually Void Terror the following turn, which would make a really big board with the Nerubians plus the buffed up Void Terror. There's Commanding Shout, which was the MVP of the game that Forsen won in his quarterfinal series. Or sorry, in his round of 16 series.
That badass Commanding Shout.
Yeah, it really did wonders for him. Yeah, you can try and draw here, but I don't know if that's going to be the play.
He could be in trouble here with the Void Terror.
He could draw twice, actually.
Yeah.
Warsong Commander, and then Acolyte of Pain, charge it in, and then draw again when you swing.
Yeah, it's so hard to know with this deck what you want to do in these early setup turns, because obviously you're trying to build up your combo pieces, but you're also trying to not die. I mean, it's an aggro deck.
I think not dying is the more important important situation here.
Absolutely, you have to play, but you have to play to not die, and you have to play to win at the same time. So you don't want to use up too many useful cards. And it's really interesting. He's holding on to this Dread Corsair over the Unstable Go.
Dread Corsair is like an extra free 3 damage of burst later on, potentially, when you have Warsong Commander out. So unless he absolutely has to, I think that's why he's hesitating to throw it out there.
Well, he's gonna... Yeah, he's not gonna use the Void Terror here. He's just gonna pop that Unstable Go. It's an Execute coming in, but that's not particularly useful at this point.
Well, it might be. He can trade in his Acolyte of Pain to draw a card into the egg. Throw his Death Bite into the Spider. That'll clear off the 1/1s, and then he can execute one of the Nerubians. That's about the best he's ever going to be able to deal with the Nerubians. But draw first.
Thorsten's pretty good. Pretty good.
Can't really pass up an opportunity to play Forsen.
No.
Now he's gonna protect it with the Dread Corsair. See, I like keep holding on to it. That's actually a really smart play because there's no reason to throw it out there in the turns before. The only thing it's doing is giving the egg something to bounce off of with like Abusive Sergeant. There was nothing on the board that was threatening him, and there was nothing on the board that he needed to protect. So there's no point in throwing out your Dread Corsair just all willy-nilly like that, preemptively. This is a better choice because he's actually protecting something on his board.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to use it to protect the Thorsen. Thijs can get through it here, and yeah, he actually does have the damage to kill Thorsen here. So he may opt to do that. You can put the Definitive Argus right in the middle, trade the other Argus into the Dread Corsair, and then the Nerubian into the 5/5.
The thing he has to make sure that he does, though, is also play around the Despite for the following turn. So he wants to make his board as resilient as possible to the residual AoE of the Despite, while also clearing off both these targets. So I think this is sort of the best of both worlds. Because if he Despite into the Haunted Creeper, he's still going to be left with a Haunted Creeper, and he's going to get a 4/4 Nerubian Egg by doing it with this method.
Yeah, exactly.
If he draws a Grim Patron here, he doesn't have enough to actually use Commanding Shout, so not quite as good. But he could start throwing in Grim Patrons left and right if he did draw into it with this Acolyte of Pain.
He's looking at Commanding Shout this turn.
This will essentially give him 3 draws. Because he draws from the Commanding Shout, he'll draw from the Acolyte of Pain, and then he'll keep the Acolyte of Pain alive in order to preserve one other draw. So, I really don't mind that play at all.
Yeah, that's pretty good use of Commanding Shout, actually, to get those draws. Gonna see the Dread Corsair come down.
And since he has Commanding Shout now, he can actually Despite and keep his creatures safe.
Yeah, that's true.
So if he executes the egg here, throws his Despite in, he clears the board with the exception of the Defender of Argus. But it looks like he's not going to choose to do that. Really smart play by Forsen.
Yeah, it's pretty clear he's been playing a lot with this deck, and he, as you say, it's a kind of a custom Grim Patron Warrior. It's a little bit different from all the others, and it's clear he knows this deck really, really well. A lot of people criticize Forsen and say he's not a high-level player, but he's clearly worked with this deck to a pretty high level, to where he's really, really making Thijs think about these turns, and this is a really tough matchup in what is a really strong deck. So Forsen's doing very well here. And even if Thijs wins this match, he knows he's going to have to come up against it again.
I think getting the win out of the way with the Zoo, though, is pretty good. That's why people have been opening with Zoo, because it just gives them a quick win. It's a really good strategy in this type of conquest environment. If he Void Terrors here, then his Void Terror is just going to trade with the Paladin Shredder anyway. He's thinking the best way to do this. It might be to Void Walker and Void Terror on both of them. The other thing he can do is sort of all in, power overwhelming his own Nerubian.
Yeah.
And then Void Terror.
And that would be what? 7
and 11-7.
11-7.
Or 11-8.
That's what he's going to do. So he's
Yeah.
going to power overwhelming taunt up. Is he going to take the taunt as well? I don't think he's going to take the taunt as well.
Now it's going to be a 12-10.
No, I think he's going to use the taunt to protect it, surely.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's still a really big threat. But little does he know, the Execute is in hand, and Whirlwind doesn't really my face.
Oh, no. Yeah, the Despite doesn't even need to run his creatures in here. Takes 11 damage on the Acolyte. Gets another one as well.
This is looking pretty bad for Thijs at the moment.
I mean, this may well be a concede here. He just doesn't have... he has no cards. He went all in with everything he had left.
That's the play that he had to make in that situation.
Void Color, dead draw.
You can hope for Mal'Ganis on the top for the next turn, but now he can be free to sort of kill this Ford collar, knowing that nothing substantial is going to pop out.
Ooh, well, there's a frothing berserker, and that's
game.
definitely lethal. It's
Yeah.
definitely lethal.
Yep.
Wow.
Played by Forsen. I mean, there was a couple of turns earlier on, that Dread Corsair turn being the biggest one, where he had a chance to play the Dread Corsair for free, along with his Deathbite, but just holding on to that till a point where he knew he was going to have to protect some of his creatures. Just really solid play overall.
Yeah. So here we go, Freeze Mage versus Zoo, and Acolyte of Pain in the opening here for Forsen, as you said. He does mulligan it though, and gets it straight back. So draw, freeze, burn, as TJ has said over and over again.
Yep.
That is the motto.
It's they swear in on the Oath of Freeze Mage whenever some random guy, the Freeze Mage ambassador, comes to their house, swears them in.
We'll just putting out the Thanos here, mostly just to cycle it for card draw. Does have double Acolyte of Pain in hand now. Interesting, we talked about this before, about the golden cards and the information you give your opponent. Forsen running one golden, one non-golden Acolyte.
It's all about the min-maxing. I said it before, most of the time, especially in single series, it doesn't matter. Because what you're doing is, if you play a golden card and a non-golden card in the same series, you're giving away to your, or different games in the same series, you're giving away to your opponent that you have two copies of that card, which 99.9% of the time will not make a difference. But for that 0.1%, the players that are really observant and can spot and love to min-max like that, when they can rule in the possibility that you're running two of that given card, then it's pretty good. Doesn't come into play very often though. But that's always been sort of a pet peeve of mine. If you're gonna run a golden version of a card, you either run two golden versions or two non-golden versions.
I mean, I just hate it because it makes your deck list really long. That's my problem with it.
Can't screenshot your deck list.
Yeah, exactly.
Who wants to scroll down on an imager link? Nobody.
Nope. So Arcane Intellect here, double Arcane Intellect in the hand for Forsen. So he is getting that card draw. As you said, the draw is very important. But this is a pretty nice board here for Thijs, and he just needs to keep building up this board, gets the Loatheb. And normally when you have Loatheb on turn 5 as Zoo, you just play it because it's great on curve, but obviously Freeze Mage. Or is he? He's just gonna play it.
I think you just played on curve anyway. Couple benefits. If the Freeze Mage has a lot of spells in their hand, if their hand is all spells, he's going to burn a card because he's not going to be able to play anything. Literally nothing he can play this turn. None of his spells are able to be played on turn 5. And the only thing he can play is Doomsayer. Well, he can play Doomsayer or Loot Hoarder.
He can play Acolyte as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he wants to play Acolyte. Because if he plays Acolyte Doomsayer, that's okay. But if he plays Loot Hoarder Doomsayer, or Loot Hoarder Acolyte, he's just asking to get milled.
Yeah,
because there's a Knife Juggler on board. You put 3 hits in the Acolyte of Pain, really risky. Doomsayer Loot Hoarder seems like the best option here.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think he has to play the Doomsayer.
And maybe even Loot Hoarder. Yeah, just because he values having that Doomsayer in combination with Freeze more than he values what would end up being virtually a 7-point heal.
All right, well, let's see what he's going to draw here, and then obviously what Thijs is going to burn.
If he just needs 3 juggles to face, and he has 5 juggles total. Yeah, no, it's lethal because there's only 1 health on the board. Yeah, that's lethal.
Oh, well, okay then.
Yeah, guaranteed. Yeah.
We weren't really paying attention there. We were busy counting the cards
in
the hand of Forsen, but Forsen gets a bit surprised there. It didn't have an ice block up, so
it didn't really matter.
Able to get a win.
Even if the Knife Juggler.
Well, that's how big a handicap is the double ice block in hand, TJ?
Pretty huge. Rogues can put you on a clock as a Freeze Mage. It's not uncommon for oil rogues to just load up their weapons early and just start chipping away at your health total, Because the way that a rogue wins in this matchup is just pressure. You just want to force the mage to play defensive nearly the entire game. So, and going Pilot Shredder just seems obvious.
Yeah. It's particularly when you got 2 in hand, you need to play them at some point. So let's do that.
Twins.
Yeah, well, you can play Pilot Shredder turn 3, Pilot Shredder turn 4. That's pretty solid. Azure Drake on 5. It's going well for you. Feels like a pretty good day. But then Freeze Mage. So yeah, Forsen's just going to play the block here. And when you got those ice blocks in your hand, and like I was saying with the Pilot Shredder, one of the really important things is just when are you going to have the mana to play them? Because you do need to react to what's going on as a Freeze Mage. You need to set yourself up in the right way, and you just need to play your cards and play your mana in the right order. So he needs to find time to get the first block in. When you've got the 2 in your hand, playing the first as early as possible is good when you've got a relatively clear turn to do so.
I don't like that Thijs is holding back with his dagger without a weapon buff in his hand. It makes me feel uncomfortable because he's missing these little points of damage turn after turn. He's thinking that he's not going to have enough mana to re-dagger up over the next couple turns. But at the same time, in the same line of thinking, if he thinks he's not going to have mana to dagger up, it means he's not going to have mana to use a weapon buff if he draws one. So one of the hardest parts about playing Rogue is knowing when to attack with an unbuffed dagger, and the likelihood that you're going to draw into a weapon buff, and the likelihood that you're going to get to use it the next turn. So,
yeah, I think you're right.
Well,
see, this is why Thijs is a pro player and you're not, DJ.
Well, no,
he
still,
knew.
like, no matter what, it wouldn't have affected his line of play. Because more than likely, he'd either play Azure Drake or Loath up here, depending on what Forsen actually did. So I don't think, I don't know, it's just something that I think about a lot when I play Oil Rogue. One of the things I make sure I try and hit on the most is, am I using my dagger? Am I maximizing the amount of damage I'm doing while minimizing the effect that I'm having on like the timings of my weapon buffs by having to read dagger? So just something to think about a little bit. Now that he has both buffs in his hand, though, holding on is, I think, the best choice.
Well, the only other thing he could have done with his dagger there is he actually could have milled Forsen for 1 card. He could have hit the Acolyte once with the dagger and then back. Well, he can't backstab it because it's not undamaged, is it?
Yeah.
Sapcasters.
He could have hit it with
8 hours, guys. 8 hours. You try talking about Hearthstone games for 8 hours and not making mistakes.
You got
worst mistake I ever made when I was casting Insomnia, because we had both perspectives on 2 screens, and I was kind of looking diagonally at the 2 screens, and I kind of got confused on what the perspectives were, and said that the priest should Cabal Shadow Priest the Death Lord that was on his own side, because I saw the card come in on the top on one screen and the Death Lord on the bottom on the other screen, and said, "Oh, you could Cabal Shadow Priest the Death Lord," and that made me look really dumb.
Yeah, happens to the best of us, and he's going to be able to pop the block here relatively easily and set up for lethal next turn. So
yeah, this is pretty crazy. This is what Oil Rogue can do. It's just a huge amount of damage coming in. That's what, 19 damage. It doesn't even need the Blade Flurry.
Okay, the only thing that's saving Forsen here is that the ice block costs
2 mana.
2 mana because of the Emperor Thorsan. The only thing he's going to be able to play next turn is ice block. And then he's just going to die the turn after that anyway, so I think Forsen might just be dead.
Yeah, Forsen might be in trouble here. Yeah, he has to play the ice block. That's all he can play. Just gonna go face with Thorsen because why not?
And I don't think there's any way out of this for Forsen. He pops the block this turn. He has no defensive measures for the following turn after that. He does have Ice Barrier, but I don't think that's going to be enough to keep him alive, because any direct damage spell, just a Blade Flurry the following turn would be enough, and it would play around the Ice Barrier. So
yeah, I mean, he has Blade Flurry Tinkers in his hand, so even if the entire board got cleared and he burns his weapon this turn, he can re-dagger, Tinkers, and Blade Flurry.
Yeah.
Lethal.
Just pop the block, kill the Emperor Thorsan, pass. That's all he has to do. Doesn't even need to Fan of Knives. It's a little bit overkill.
Maybe he's a little bit worried about Doomsayers coming off his shredders.
Yeah. Even then, it doesn't even matter. All he has to do is avoid heal, and then Blade Flurry next turn.
Yeah, I think you probably trade the Lothab. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
trade the Lothab.
No, it's funny. Forsen actually has Alexstrasza for 7 mana in his hand.
Oh my.
So in reality, he could actually Alexstrasza and Ice Barrier. And
Does
that would
that
actually...
save him?
Yeah, it does save him, yeah. And wait, how much damage does he have? Frostbolt, Ice Lance, Fireball. I think he has both Fireballs. Still doesn't have enough damage. I think the only thing he can do here is Alexstrasza Ice Barrier to stay alive, I think.
Yeah. I think it's 16, 20. Yeah.
It won't even keep him alive, no.
Yeah, I was gonna say because he can Tinkers again.
He can Tinker Blade Flurry. He'd effectively with Alexstrasza Ice Barrier, he'd effectively be at 23 health, and I think there's actually 25 potential damage just in the hand alone. I don't know if there's anything else he can draw into. He actually has quite a bit of damage in his hand. 12, 13. He's close to lethal.
Yeah.
Because of the Emperor Thorsen staying alive for a few turns. He's going to see that the only potential way for him to live is this, but he doesn't even go for it.
No. He's actually going to burn his second Fireball there.
Yeah. Doomsayer. Yeah.
Of course, not going to do it. Throw a bunch of cards, but it's not going to be enough.
Yeah. Thijs, all he has to do is Blade Flurry here. Is going to take the series. Or not the series, sorry. Just the match.
Yeah, he's going to go up to 2-1.
Thijs still has to move with Mage. And we know how volatile mirror matchups can be. I'm pretty sure that it is going to be the Freeze Mage. We've seen a lot of mages today. I think Muzzy was the only player running Mech Mage. But it's possible that I might be mistaken. So...
I think that's right.
Okay.
I did ask someone else, and they said I think it was...
For very many turns, so... this is a completely different game. And this time around... both hands are actually pretty even. Both players have a decent amount of card draw. Thijs does have the Emperor Thorsen, but this is a lot cleaner of a start for both players.
Yeah, this is a pretty good start. They both have Loot Hoarder, double Loot Hoarder for Thijs, Loot Hoarder and Thalnos, and the Acolyte of Pain as well for Forsen. So both have card draw. Arcane Intellect off the top for Thijs, pretty perfect. He's drawing into what he needs to kind of freeze in the mid game. But I mean, like we talked about at the start, let's rewind here a little bit and reset to where we were at the start of this game a minute ago. In this mirror match, there were kind of 10 to 15 cards that are completely dead, pretty much. Apart from some very specific situations, card like Blizzard, Frost Nova, Doomsayer, Ice Barrier, Cone of Cold. They're pretty useless here. It's kind of or inconsequential, I guess, would be the better way to use it.
Yeah, it's very true. So it basically comes down to who can draw into their threats and their burn first, and
use their burn appropriately.
And use their burn appropriately.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you're getting your opponent as close to 0 or 1 as possible when you're popping the ice block, because you could put yourself in a situation where you only have large damage spells and you've popped the block while your opponent is too high of health, and then it makes it so you're having to ping constantly turn after turn after turn in order to go for a victory.
Yeah, exactly. The pinging, a ping war, that's never a good place to be for anyone. So double Mad Scientist for Thijs here. He's gonna get those secrets out early, and it was something I said as well in the first matchup. Finding them. Yeah, I'm basically just gonna repeat everything I said like 50 minutes ago. Finding the time to play your first ice block is pretty important. And then having the ability to play your second ice block when you want to, either from a Mad Scientist or from your hand, is pretty important as well. So being able to manipulate the turns at which you're able to play your ice blocks is another key part of this matchup. So negotiating the ice blocks and the burn, and defending against your opponent's burn with your own ice blocks. That's basically how you win or lose this game.
Yep.
TJ's just so tired. He's seen it. He's seen this all before.
Yeah, this is like the exact same thing as last game. When you cast Hearthstone and when you play a lot of Hearthstone, and your brain is constantly thinking about it, and so your subconscious is constantly thinking about it. So when your subconscious is constantly thinking about a certain subject, you dream about it a lot. So like right now, the dreams of my Hearthstone themed dreams are actually playing through my head. I actually told about one a couple weeks ago, where I was actually in my dream. I was Doctor Boom. Okay, like I was dressed as Doctor Boom. I was full on cosplay as Doctor Boom. On my left was Strife Crow, dressed as the left Boombot, and on my right was Life Coach, dressed as the right Boombot. Okay, and we were like running through this field full of like sunflowers and like a really pretty field. Okay, and in the sky was, you know the show Teletubbies?
Yes.
Do you know the baby in the sun of Teletubbies? You know, it's a little bit, the sun rises and there's a little baby that giggles. Well,
Yeah.
the sun was rising, okay, over this field as I was dressed as Dr. Boom with Stripe Crow and Life Coach beside me. And instead of a baby laughing as the sun was coming up, it was Ben Broad's face on the sun and Ben's Broad laugh. And like the whole dream was just running through this field as the sun was rising with Ben Broad just laughing over us.
This was a separate to the boy band dream.
Oh yeah, no, the boy band dream was last night because I watched the new Backstreet Boys documentary based off their 20-year anniversary tour called "Show 'Em What You're Made Of."
Is Backstreet back?
All right.
All right.
You can't put any Backstreet Boys opportunities past me. But back to the game at hand. We're pretty much in the same spot as we were before I started my ramble about my dream.
This is the thing, isn't it? I mean, there's not really a lot to say about them jockeying for position. They're just trying to set themselves up, and the Doomsayer comes down. He's going to put the Thanos down to draw a card off the Doomsayer. Doomsayer is a pretty dead card. There's not really great opportunities to use it here. Forsen does have Antonidas in hand with the coin, which could be pretty important to create some burn.
Eventually, it's going to come down to both players waiting on their Alexstrasza. So what they're doing is just throwing AoE spells out onto an empty board, like right now, or like you could use a Frost Nova just for the heck of it. You want to sort of say, you want to hold on to those at least one or two, just to sort of block like the hits from Alexstrasza or Archmage Antonidas later in the game. But you really don't want a full hand, and he doesn't want to burn a card. So if both of these get killed this turn, he'll be left with 9 cards. He doesn't want to risk giving a full hand.
Exactly. We did see the Thorson, especially for Forsen, stay on the board. The Thora Forsen, let's go with that, stayed on the board for a really long time, to the point where he had a 1 mana Blizzard and a 6 mana Pyroblast.
Yeah.
So, as you know, these games where the board doesn't really fill up and there isn't a lot of threats on the board, it's it can get pretty crazy with Thorson. So Thijs is looking to play his Thorson here pretty early.
Yep. And he's going to try and protect it by pinging off this Loot Hoarder. And having to throw Burn in Emperor Thor's hand actually is a pretty big deal. The one thing, he's not reducing the cost of Alexstrasza, but at this point it doesn't really matter, because he's going to be on turn 10 really quickly anyway. But there's so many cards in his hand that are so important that he can weave in now that they cost less.
Yeah, exactly.
The most practical use of Blizzard that you're ever going to find.
So
he might even be thinking about Archmage Antonidas and then coin Frostbolt and trading in the Blood Mage. If he does that, though, he's actually going to burn a card, because he'll turn his coin into a fireball. He'll turn his Frostbolt into a fireball. He'll
draw a card.
And draw a card from Blood Mage Thalnos. So... Oh, no, he's playing Archmage. Okay, no, he'll be fine. He'll be at 10 cards total once everything is said and done. Like, once he draws his card next turn, he'll be at 10 cards.
Yep. So that's 3 fireballs in the hand for Forsen right now. And there's Alex. Wow. Right on time.
Yeah. And now he has an Archmage Antonidas on the board that's not being dealt with.
Yeah, it's going to need Fireball Ping if he's going to deal with it. But again, using up that burn, and We see only one fireball in the hand for Thijs. No Antonidas yet, no Alexstrasza. Actually feels like Forsen's in a pretty good position here.
It's like backwards from last game. But in last game, Forsen actually came back and had a chance to win because of inefficient use of burn from Thijs. It could be the same situation in this game. He's going to have to Blizzard and Ice Lance ping just to clear this off. Wow.
Yeah, so he's going to use the fireball ping. Doomsayer as kind of Alexstrasza protection. But Forsen's not going to care. He's got so much burn in his hand.
Oh, jeez.
Actually, this is quite unfortunate because it's just kind of the problem that we talked about with weaving the burn in between the ice blocks is what he really needs here is a frostbolt.
And there's the second ice block. Okay, so how is he going to do this? He has to Pyroblast this turn.
Next turn.
Yeah, that's what I meant. He has to Pyroblast next turn. It'll get him down to 5. He can Fireball and pop the block the following turn. And then he might want to start pinging him down. He'll ping and then Fireball the next turn. Then ping and Fireball the following turn after that. He actually has enough damage to pop both blocks and have a Fireball left over to use as burn later on in the game. But it's hard to tell until everything plays out. It's hard to think that many turns ahead. Because what if Thijs ends up using Alexstrasza defensively on himself after Forsen has used all his burn? It kind of feels like the person who goes first, who uses their burn first, actually is at a disadvantage.
Yeah,
but it's really hard to predict.
Yeah, equally you don't know what your opponent's got. So if you've got your burn and he doesn't, yeah, this is really difficult. So
this is the exact position that Thijs was in last game. He used his Archmage Antonidas, traded some of his spells for fireballs, and put his opponent at 15 health.
Crazy. So what does he do here? Does he just go with the Pyroblast? I think he just go with the Pyroblast.
Yeah, you're never going to find a more ample opportunity to use Pyroblast. At 10 mana.
And the problem Forsen found himself in last game was that he ended up having to use the Pyroblast to pop the block, and that was really inefficient.
No, I actually like this play better, because it puts him lower. He can actually get him to nearly 1 health before he pops the block.
And he has Fireball and Pyroblast, so he can weave it through the blocks.
Yeah.
This actually should be game for Forsen, unless Alexstrasza comes up. So it's all about the Alexstrasza here, right?
Yeah.
Thijs needs to draw Alexstrasza and use it defensively.
Yeah.
This is crazy. From Forsen having battled all the way back to a top deck war in the last game, he's actually managed to take the initiative here and could well bring it back to 2-2. And that's going to be a tough pill for Thijs to swallow after being so far ahead, losing that game to a disconnect, and now just not having the same good start in this game. He's having to count his cards carefully, make sure he doesn't burn anything. He needs to play Ice Block. Antonidas is a bit late.
He's going to have one more draw to draw into a defensive Alexstrasza.
Yeah, because he can't even proc his Acolyte to draw a second card.
He might even Frostbolt his own Acolyte.
Yeah, he's thinking about that.
He can do that as an emergency next turn if he doesn't draw into it, because his Frostbolt does cost 1 mana. But that's going to be really his only opportunity to make something happen. Because Forsen does have 2 damage abilities in his hand. He can pop the block the next turn. And then still have lots of direct damage available to be able to finish him off the turn after that.
He's actually going to do it now. He's going to go Frostbolt. Oh, he's just going to Frostbolt face. Frostbolt Ice Lance.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's playing a little bit aggressive.
I don't think, even now, even if he defensive Alexstrasza's himself, Forsen still has enough damage to be able to push through. So it feels like ping Fireball is going to be the way to pop the block here. Oh geez, super close though. And last time we counted Forsen out, we what's the saying? Counted our chickens before they hatched.
We did indeed count our chickens, or we in fact counted Thijs's chickens for him.
It's such. I never really understood that saying. Well, I understood it, but like the actual, like where it came from. It's a very grim saying. You count your
Yeah.
chickens before they hatch.
Yeah.
It means some of your chickens are gonna die
Well,
before
it means
they
that some of
hatch.
your eggs are not necessarily chickens.
It's still really grim.
It's
I mean, some of those little baby chicks are gonna die before they even become chickens.
yeah. Anyway, TJ, let's concentrate on the final turns of this crucial matchup here.
If I was a good farmer, I would count my chickens before they hatch, so I can make accurate reads on how much money I would make.
It's all about the accurate reads.
So I understand the saying, but
So Forsen's gonna pop the second block here.
I don't support it.
Okay.
Just so you know, Colin.
Yeah,
I know
just so I know.
I know you keep trying to change the subject, but this is a subject that I'm really passionate about.
Well, Thijs, what's Thijs gonna do here? I mean, he can draw cards off this mad scientist. Oh, and there's the Alex.
Wow.
Okay.
I still don't think it's enough. He has to Alex draws at this turn and be able to survive 2 more. The only thing is if Forsen makes a really big mistake by attacking into the ice barrier. I think that's the only way he can actually lose.
Playing this mad scientist was... I don't know why he played the mad scientist. No, with the acolytes out.
I guess he knew that he won no matter what. Okay.
I don't know. I think that goes back to counting chickens. I think that was a little bit questionable, but giving him the opportunity to draw cards, because obviously he wouldn't have drawn the Alex Straza otherwise.
See, Forsen would actually be a great farmer, because he would have an accurate count of his chickens before they hatched.
I don't know if
thinking
I'm
ahead.
a farmer.
Yeah, I think that is going to be game. I don't see any way out of this.
Sadly not.
Oh, he can play Doomsayer, then he can play Blizzard, then Frost Nova, and then he could concede.
And then he could concede. Yeah, so the barrier is up for Thijs. The block has been popped. There's a fireball in hand for Forsen. There's nothing he can do here.
Nope.
Unless he's able to control control Thijs's mad scientist somehow, and then hit his own face to hit the ice barrier. But
yep.
He's gonna Antonidas here, but
Oh my god.
it's not gonna make a difference.
Well, after what amounts to more than an hour of Freeze Mage
Oh my
versus
God.
Freeze Mage, we saw almost one
Really?
full Freeze Mage versus Free Mage bugged out. We saw a second Freeze Mage versus Freeze Mage.
Yeah, 50 minutes it took for us to complete that game.
Yeah, so that finally is going to end, and that's not even the end of the series, because Forsen ties it up 2-2. The last match is going to be Thijs's Freeze Mage versus Forsen's Mech Shaman.
I'm so tired. But it's going to be probably a coined Whirling Zap-O-Matic for Forsen, just to get the damage in early. Whirling Zap-O-Matic. Interesting fact, don't know if you knew this, TJ, that the Whirling Zap-O-Matic is a Jedi.
Yeah, he's got little things.
But the
Spin
Golden
around.
Zap-O-Matic is a Sith,
Did not know that.
because the lightsabers go red.
Wow. Today I learned fun facts. Hearthstone facts with Callum Leslie.
Exactly. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't know why the lightsabers change color in the golden version, but it is true. It's green lightsabers in the normal version and red in the golden version. So that was a fact that Nimsh taught me. Good old Nimsh.
Nimsh is a very wise man. Very wise and sort of old man. Throws out the Doomsayer just to match up against the Whirling Zap-O-Matic, and he actually doesn't have a way to deal with it, so he's going to be able to clear it. That thing represents so much damage that you can't really afford to leave it on board for a couple turns.
Oof. Double Frost Nova as well.
That's
And
not
the
too bad.
second Doomsayer. So
too
much
bad.
clear.
Yeah. The one thing he needs is a little bit more card draw. He draws in that second Arcane Intellect, draws into that Acolyte of Pain. He's actually got a pretty good shot. Mech Shaman does have quite a bit of burst from hand. It's a very similar matchup to Mech Mage. The one thing is that Mech Shamans...
Oh, baby.
There it is!
Fel Reaver. Okay, so this is Fel Reaver Shaman. We didn't see it in the first match, so we didn't know whether or not it was, but this is Fel Reaver Shaman.
Fel Reaver Shaman is basically a death sentence in Freeze Mage. Because what they'll do is they'll just constantly freeze it over and over and over again. And by the time you know it, you're out of cards. The one thing that he has going for him here is that he does have a Loatheb Vault the next turn, which is going to block out some of the damage. But the thing is, as long as Thijs does not use Ice Lance here,
yeah, that's just
he
what
could
I was
Frost
say.
Nova this turn, still be able to Ice Lance the Fel Reaver the following turn, and from there it's basically going to be frozen every single turn because he has Frost Nova after that, he has Frostbolt after that. So Forsen could be in trouble from playing this Fel Reaver. He might not have a deck left, and I don't think the cards in his hand are going to be enough for him to win the game.
Yeah, I'm not sure about playing the Fel Reaver. I'm really not. I'm not a fan of it. I think it's the deck is so inconsistent. It can just you can either blow it, win with it, or you can get completely blown out and lose with it. I think, and in, as you say, in this matchup, I think the Fel Reaver is just too much of a liability.
Yeah.
I honestly wouldn't play it. I think, you have this deck. I think you can play the deck perfectly fine and have a good chance to win.
Don't play Doomhammer.
No.
Okay. Well, Forsen could kiss goodbye his entire deck.
Oh, this is really bad.
Yeah.
On a second Ice Lance.
This is gross. All right. Well, to be honest, I wouldn't even keep it. I would keep it alive.
Yeah, I think so too. I think Thijs is actually doing Forsen a favor here. Oh, there's a second Fel Reaver. Forsen was not happy with the second Fel Reaver getting burnt.
Wait, was that not happy?
I
was
don't know.
that happy?
That's true. I can't tell.
Yeah.
I mean, he thought playing the first one was a good idea, so maybe he's upset he lost the second one.
He discarded a Rockbiter, I believe, which was one thing that I think he might have been a little bit upset about. The Rockbiter combined with the Doomhammer is actually a good way to put on quite a bit of burst.
And the Whirling Zap-O-Matic as well. It's Rockbiter is a pretty crucial card in the Mech Shaman.
Yeah, and since he already played the Doomsayer, I don't think there's a point in actually Ice Lancing the...
He's gonna do it though. He's gonna Ice Lance face. I guess that's actually pretty good. Another Rockbiter gone. Mech Yeti, a Neutron.
All right. How many? So he burned what, 12 cards total?
Yeah.
12 or 15?
Ice Lance, Frost Nova, Doomsayer, Frost Nova. Yeah, 12 cards.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good.
That's not bad.
Yeah, a lot of it was burn as well, so.
And no damage from the Fel Reaver.
Yeah. It could have been a lot worse. And to be honest, I would have kept that thing alive for longer.
Yeah, probably would have given it one more turn at least.
Yeah, because he actually had Flame Strike this turn. So what he could have done was actually freeze them, Ice Lance the Fel Reaver to put it at 4, and the following turn Flame Strike. So then he would have forced him to discard more cards. He could be in trouble though. There's still a lot of burn left in this mech shaman.
Ooh, Blizzard. Another phrase. To be fair, that is one good thing about the Fel Reaver here. It has eaten a lot of the freeze.
Yeah. Okay. The thing is, Thijs has not drawn into any of his secrets or Mad Scientist. No Ice Barrier, no Ice Block, and there's a lot of damage in the hand of Forsen right now. He's doing consistent damage with the Doomhammer every turn. These Boombots represent quite a bit of damage on the board. He's going to be able to play Loatheb this turn to lock him out of basically doing anything. He can build up a strong board Loatheb and set up lethal the following turn. Yeah.
Yeah, Forsen's not out of this yet. It's certainly, as you say, a lot of burst. Does have the Power Mace as well to follow up this Doomhammer.
That actually may lock him out of the game.
Yeah, the Loatheb now actually, I mean, obviously we said, the Loatheb would have been a good play earlier.
Yeah, I think that's game. He's got 10 damage showing on board, 4 damage plus the Doomhammer, and Crackle. That's it. He can Frostbolt face. Frostbolting face, or, Frostbolting face or Frostbolting the Loatheb is the only way for him to survive an extra turn. And even then, it's possible that the Crackle rolls high. 7, 8, 9. If Crackle rolls for 6 plus Fire Elemental, yeah, that's game. There's no way.
Yeah, so he's gonna ice. Yeah, he's gonna Ice Lance.
I think that's it. Fire Elemental plus Crackle, that's at least 6 damage with 15 damage shown on the board. Yeah, that's it.
Well, wow. Forsen is gonna win this 3-2 over Thijs. Forsen is gonna go to our semifinals, and he's gonna play Tides of Time tomorrow.
Oh my goodness.
Absolutely insane. What a grueling final series. Yeah, that's gonna be it. The Crackle's gonna come down. Doesn't even need to roll high, can roll as low as he likes. And in fact, it rolls for 6. So, as you can see, when we get back to the cast